Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show that cuts through the noise and gets right to the most crucial insights from the latest research, custom tailored for you. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest challenges out there, climate change. And specifically, the absolutely critical need for massive, reliable energy storage. Because, renewables like solar and wind, they're vital, absolutely, but they're variable. Sun doesn't always shine, wind doesn't always blow, and that variability, well, it's a real challenge for keeping our grid stable, reliable, 24/7. So that's where energy storage steps in. It's not just helpful, it's transformative. And our focus today is on a really powerful, proven solution, pumped hydro energy storage, PHES. If you're not familiar, just picture a giant sort of natural battery. When you have extra power, maybe lots of solar, in midday, you use it to pump water uphill, lower reservoir to an upper one, like charging the battery. Then, when you need that power later peak demand, maybe after sunset, you let the water flow back down through turbines, generates electricity. It's simple, elegant, really, but incredibly effective for storing huge amounts of energy. Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep into a fascinating new study. It's called Developing a Replicable Methodology for Assessing Pumped Hydro Energy Storage Potential, Mapping, Estimation, and Economic Analysis. Quite a title, but it's a really comprehensive piece of work, tackles a big challenge head on. So could you walk us through the core mission here? What were the researchers really trying to solve?
Well, the interesting thing is PHES isn't new technology, right? It's mature, proven for over a century. But the big bottleneck globally, really, is finding the right spots, suitable locations. You need the right terrain, water access, minimal environmental impact. And historically, finding those sites, it's been slow, manual work, complex. So this study tackles that directly. It introduces this innovative automated GIS-based model, Geographic Information System. Its mission was basically to systematically map out and evaluate PHES potential on a massive scale. And the key thing, it's designed to be replicable, scalable, adaptable. You could use it anywhere, really. They applied it to India as a case study, and the results are pretty remarkable.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because the numbers they found for India, just staggering. They identified a combined storage capacity of over 38 terawatt hours, TWH. Now, to put that in perspective, if you think about an 8-hour storage cycle, that's like 4,758 gigawatts of power capacity. But here's the mind-blowing part. That potential, it surpasses India's projected 2050 storage demand by 9 times. 9! That's not just meeting demand, that's transformative, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, India has these incredibly ambitious renewable energy targets, 450 gigawatts of renewables by 2030, net zero goals. Well, intermittent sources like solar and wind, they just can't power the grid alone. 24/7, you need long duration, utility scale storage, and PHES provides exactly that. It's proven. And a really key point here is the lifespan. A PHES plant can operate for up to 100 years.
100 years? Wow.
Yeah. Compare that to batteries, you'd need multiple replacements over that same period. So PHES offers this incredibly long-term stable solution, cuts down future costs for materials, replacement, disposal. It's a huge advantage.
That longevity alone, yeah, that's a game changer. So, okay, previous studies only saw a fraction of this potential. How did this study find so much more? What was the secret sauce in their method?
Well, the core of it is that automated GIS model. It basically scanned India's entire landscape, looking for different ways to configure PHES. They focused on 4 main types, 4 topologies, which make it easier to grasp. First, there's 2 re-PES, that's linking 2 existing reservoirs. So you're leveraging infrastructure that's already there. Very efficient. They found 4 pairs like that. A good starting point.
Okay, using what's already there makes sense.
The second one, and this is where the biggest chunk of potential came from, is 1RE PHES. Here you adapt one existing reservoir and build a new secondary one nearby. At the right elevation, of course, this approach, it yielded a massive 25.57 terawatt hours. From 142 existing reservoirs suitable for this, shows immense value in retrofitting.
Right, adapting existing infrastructure. Huge potential there.
Exactly. Then number 3 is RIFES. That uses a segment of a large river as the lower reservoir, naturally. You build an upper reservoir uphill. This offered another 11.70 terawatt hours from 99 sites, using natural rivers too. And finally, the really innovative one, seawater-based, PAGS. It uses the sea itself as the lower reservoir. You build an artificial upper one near the coast. The total potential was smaller, about 0.59 TWH or 587 JWH from 52 sites. But it's crucial for coastal areas, especially where fresh water is scarce,
That's fascinating, the different approaches. But it wasn't just about finding hills in water, was it? I mean, the model had to integrate loads of other data. terrain, hydrology, infrastructure, and then filter out the impractical sites. What kinds of things did they screen for?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's much more than just topography and water. The strength of this model is layering in all that crucial real-world data. They applied lots of constraints, lots of filters, for instance, excluding areas too close to cities, or inside protected zones like national parks, wildlife sanctuaries. Can't build there.
Right. Makes sense.
They also looked at proximity to transport roads, railways, essential for construction access, grid connection later. And geological stability was another factor, avoiding earthquake zones, for instance. So this detailed filtering, that's what makes the identified potential much more reliable and actionable than maybe previous estimates.
Okay, so they mapped all this potential. What does it mean regionally? Where are these PHES hotspots mostly located in India? Is there a strategic pattern?
Yeah, the regional breakdown is really illuminating. Madhya Pradesh, right in the center of India, actually came out on top. Over 11 terawatt hours of potential there. That's roughly 1,400 gigawatts of power capacity for that 8-hour cycle we mentioned.
Wow, Madhya Pradesh.
And its central location is strategically brilliant. It could act like a giant battery hub for the country. Imagine feeding stored renewable power to neighboring industrial states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, places that often face shortages and have high demand. It could really stabilize the whole regional grid.
A central energy hub. That's a
Yeah.
powerful idea. What about other states?
Well, beyond Madhya Pradesh, the study highlighted significant potential in Maharashtra and Goa, combined about 5.5 TWH, also Odisha at 3.2 TWH, and Uttar Pradesh with 2.8 TWH. So you see potential spread across different regions, which is good for balancing the national grid.
You mentioned SBS earlier, the seawater version. India has this huge coastline, right? 7,500 kilometers. What did the study find specifically about STS potential along the coasts?
Right, that long coastline is definitely an opportunity, especially, as I said, for water-stressed areas. This study found 52 suitable SPS sites, adding up to 587 gigawatt hours. But the distribution isn't even. Some states, like Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, they show significant SPS potential. Why? Because they have steep terrain near the sea. You need that elevation difference, that head between the upper reservoir and the sea for it to work efficiently.
So the terrain is key for SPS too.
Exactly. But then other coastal states like West Bengal, Sikkim, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, they showed notably low SPHES potential, mostly because the land near the sea there is generally low-lying, quite flat. Makes it harder to get that crucial head. But the big advantage, again, for the suitable sites, no need for fresh water, uses abundant seawater. That's huge in some regions.
That is a critical point. Okay, let's talk cost. Because large-scale storage, it just sounds expensive. That's often the sticking point, isn't it? Did the study look at the economics? How does PHES stack up against, say, batteries?
Absolutely. And honestly, the economic findings here, they're incredibly compelling. They make a very strong case for PHES. This study shows it's remarkably cost-effective, especially compared to lithium-ion batteries. Let me give you some numbers. Over 26.3 terawatt hours of the potential they found is available at costs below 108.3 euros per kilowatt hour. And that figure, 108.3, that's a benchmark this study set for sites in India needing both reservoirs built, usually the more expensive setup.
Okay, below 108 euros per kilowatt, even for new builds. That's already interesting.
It is. But wait, it gets better. Over 26.6 terawatt hours is available below 130 euros per kilowatt hour. Now remember this, 130 euros per kilowatt hours. That's the optimistic cost forecast for lithium-ion batteries after 2030.
Wow. So PHES today is already cheaper than optimistic future battery costs.
Exactly. It can already compete. But here's the real showstopper from this study. Over 20.4 terawatt hours of PHES potential is available at costs below a staggering 50 euros per kilowatt hour.
50 euros.
50 euros. That makes it way cheaper than even the most optimistic battery cost forecast for 2050. At that price point, PHES becomes almost irresistible for utility-scale storage. It massively de-risks large renewable projects for investors. Could really speed things up.
And where does that super low-cost potential come from mainly?
Most of that lowest cost potential, the sub-50 euro stuff, comes from that one or AFES topology, adapting existing reservoirs. And even SPHES, the seawater one, while it has higher upfront costs for special materials, corrosion resistance, it's still competitive. Costs start around 83.6 euros per kilowatt hours, and they found 430 gigawatt hours below that 130 euro threshold. So definitely viable for coastal areas.
That really paints a clear picture. Lower life cycle costs, no reliance on importing critical minerals for batteries, less environmental hassle at end of life,
Right.
and a much lower overall cost of storage. It's compelling for India. Okay, so this study identifies huge cost-effective potential. It shows the economics are great, but That's potential on paper, right? What needs to actually happen now
Yeah.
on the ground? Policy, regulation. How do we turn this potential into actual power plants? What did the researchers recommend?
Right, that's the crucial next step. And this study does outline key policy and regulatory actions. First, they suggest revamping project allotment processes, making them more competitive, transparent, clearer criteria. This isn't just about speed, it cuts down the huge uncertainty the financial risk developers face with long, complex approvals.
Streamlining approvals. That sounds critical.
Definitely. Expediting clearances is paramount, maybe through, online portals, single window systems, anything to cut down those timelines. They also emphasize needing more state government involvement
Right.
right from the start, site identification, engaging communities all the way through. And then financial incentives, things like tax waivers to lower the final cost of energy or making capital more easily available for lenders through targeted concessions. That helps attract investment.
Okay, so getting the plants built is one thing, but the study also mentioned something called ancillary services. Why are they important for PHES and how do they affect the bottom line?
Ancillary services. Think of them as like the grid support crew, essential balancing acts. They keep the electricity supply perfectly matched with demand second by second. Keep the grid stable, reliable.
Okay, like what specifically?
Things like frequency regulation, keeping the grid's heartbeat steady, load shifting, storing cheap daytime solar power to use during evening peaks, or black start capability, the ability of a PHES plant to help restart the grid after a major blackout.
Yeah.
And PHES is incredibly good at providing these. It's agile. It can ramp power up or down very quickly, much faster than old coal or gas plants.
So it helps stabilize the grid in real time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by participating in markets for these specific services, frequency containment reserve, restoration reserves, things like that, PHES projects can earn significant extra revenue. It's not just about selling bulk energy. This improves their overall profitability, makes them more attractive investments. It's like a Swiss Army knife for the grid.
It's always good practice, though, even with groundbreaking work like this, to acknowledge limitations. Did the researchers mention any specific caveats or areas for future refinement in this study?
Yes, they did. And it's good they acknowledge the boundaries. While it's very comprehensive, there are areas for future work. One thing is they assumed a fixed 8-hour storage duration for sizing the upper reservoirs in their economic analysis. Future studies could look at variable durations, optimized for different grid needs.
Okay, refining the storage duration aspect. What else?
Another thing is the LH ratio, the distance to height ratio. Basically, the length of the tunnel connecting the reservoirs versus the height difference. A lower LH ratio usually means cheaper, more efficient construction. So incorporating that more explicitly as a filter in the model could maybe refine site selection even further.
Right, the tunnel length versus height. Got it.
And finally, they noted limitations in getting super high resolution, up-to-the-minute local data. Some government datasets aren't always easily accessible or fully digitized. So using more granular local data in the future would, of course, improve the precision even more. But these are refinements, really. The core methodology is sound.
Understood. Well, this deep dive has really highlighted the absolutely immense potential of pumped hydro for India's energy future. This study, it's made a groundbreaking contribution, not just mapping the potential with the smart automated method, but also showing its solid economic advantages. This whole approach, this replicable methodology, despite those minor limitations, it really could accelerate PHES deployment, not just in India, but potentially worldwide. So just imagine for a moment, what if every country used a rigorous automated approach like this to find its hidden pumped hydro potential? What could that unlock for the global energy transition? For hitting our climate goals, the scale is just, oh, well, it's mind-boggling to think about. We hope this deep dive has given you a clearer, more nuanced picture of this vital energy solution. Thank you for joining us on the deep dive. Our source for today's discussion, once again, was developing a replicable methodology for assessing pumped hydro energy storage potential, mapping, estimation, and economic analysis.